On my 28th birthday, I found out through Facebook that my family had thrown a surprise party for my sister. The caption read, "The only one worth celebrating." I commented, "Nice cake?" My mom replied, "At least someone is worth baking for." I smiled and answered, "Enjoy it while it lasts." That same night, I made one transfer and sent two emails. 12 days later, my sister screamed when her landlord called and said, "Your rent has been paid." Imagine seeing your family celebrate your sister's special day with balloons, gifts, and a beaming smile on your birthday. That's exactly how my 28th birthday began, with a gut-wrenching Facebook post that shattered years of quiet pain and finally set me free. The caption, "The only one who deserves celebrating," wasn't just a slight, it was a declaration of war. I'm Natalie Morgan, and let me tell you, birthdays in my family were never a big deal. At least, not mine. I woke up that Tuesday, my 28th birthday, with modest expectations, as always. A quick shower, my usual yogurt, 2 cups of coffee, scanning emails. No birthday messages yet, which honestly wasn't a surprise. Mom usually remembered around dinner. Dad would get a reminder from her. And Vanessa, my younger sister, well, she was perpetually absorbed in her own world. I headed to the accounting firm where I'd worked for 4 years, whispering happy birthday to myself in the parking garage. Past birthdays flashed through my mind. My sweet 16, forgotten because of Vanessa's dance recital. My 21st, spent alone while they visited Vanessa at college. Last year's promotion celebration cut short because Vanessa had a crisis, which turned out to be a flat tire. It was always like this. Always. Then, at lunch, as I scrolled through Facebook, I saw it. Photos posted just hours ago. My family, mom, dad, aunts, uncles, even grandma, who claimed she was too frail to travel, all gathered around Vanessa. Balloons, gifts, a cake with candles, that familiar banner we used for special occasions. The caption, "The only one who deserves celebrating." On my birthday, they were celebrating her. It punched me right in the gut. I rushed to the bathroom, phone clutched in my trembling hand, and locked myself in a stall. My hands shook as I zoomed in, seeing my mother beaming, my father with his arm around Vanessa. When I returned to my desk, my coworker Olivia, bless her heart, asked if I was okay. "Just a migraine," I mumbled, but my mind kept replaying those photos. Hours later, at 3:45 p.m., I checked Facebook again. Dozens of likes, comments congratulating Vanessa. For what? It wasn't her birthday. It wasn't her graduation. It was just a random Tuesday that happened to be my birthday. My fingers hovered over the keyboard before I typed, "Nice cake." 15 minutes later, my phone buzzed. My mother had replied, "At least someone's worth baking for." Her words burned into my eyes. Years of being the afterthought, the responsible one who never got the celebration, the recognition, the love, it all crystallized in that moment. A strange calm settled over me. I smiled, a real, cold smile, and replied, "Enjoy it while you can." Then I made one transfer, sent two emails. The favoritism had started early. I can pinpoint the exact moment I realized my parents would always choose Vanessa. I was 8, she was 5. I'd won the spelling bee, beating kids 2 grades above me. I rushed home, certificate in hand, bursting to tell my parents. "Not now, Natalie," my mother said, not even looking up. "Vanessa learned a new dance routine today." I stood there, my certificate crumpling, watching them ooh and ah over her clumsy twirls. The next morning, my certificate was gone from the fridge, replaced by Vanessa's finger painting. As we grew, the pattern intensified. Vanessa's Sweet 16 was an extravaganza, 50 guests, a DJ, a designer dress. My 16th, 3 years earlier, had been a store-bought cake after dinner. We couldn't afford more, Mom claimed, until Vanessa's turn came. Dad explained, "Your sister is more social. She needs these things more than you do." I graduated summa cum laude from Northwestern with a partial scholarship, working 30 hours a week to cover the rest. Vanessa attended Boston University entirely on their dime, changing majors every semester. She needs the support more than you do, Dad would say. My graduation, they left early for Vanessa's semester abroad pickup. At 22, I finally confronted them. Do you realize how unequal your treatment has been? My voice shook. My mother looked genuinely confused. Don't be dramatic, Natalie. We've always supported both of you equally. You've always been the strong one. Vanessa rolled her eyes. God, Natalie, not everything is about you. The irony was staggering. 6 months ago, I got a promotion to senior accountant. My mother interrupted me mid-sentence. That's nice, honey, but guess what? Vanessa decided to drop out of her graduate program. Isn't that brave? My CPA exam, hundreds of hours of study, went unmentioned. My therapist, Ela Zimmerman, had been helping me process it. Classic golden child and scapegoat roles. Your achievements are expected, therefore unremarkable. Your sister's minimal efforts are celebrated because the expectations are so low. How do I change it? I asked. You can't change them, only how you respond and what boundaries you set. I had tried. I showed up, remembered birthdays, sent gifts, called weekly, listened to endless Vanessa updates. Then came my birthday. My birthday's next Tuesday, I mentioned casually. Maybe dinner that weekend? Oh, sweetie, we're busy. Vanessa needs help moving furniture. They never called back. And now, seeing those photos, I knew they hadn't been busy. They had been planning Vanessa's surprise party. I left work early that day, Mom's words echoing in my head. Tears blurred my vision, but a strange calm had settled. 28 years of being the family afterthought, culminating in this ultimate betrayal. Something inside me had finally snapped, not into pieces, but into absolute clarity. At home, I kicked off my heels and opened my laptop. I needed to understand exactly how intertwined my financials were with my family. What I discovered over the next few hours shocked me to the core. 3 years ago, when Vanessa moved to Chicago, my parents asked me to co-sign her lease. Just a formality, Dad said. She doesn't have credit history yet. What they failed to mention was that $1,500, which I thought was going into a joint investment fund for their retirement, was actually coming from my account to pay Vanessa's rent, utilities, even her credit card minimums. She's struggling to find herself, Mom always said. I never realized that we helping her included me without my knowledge or consent. My hands shook as I pulled up the lease agreement. There it was. I wasn't just a co-signer. I was legally the primary tenant, with Vanessa as an occupant. From the landlord's perspective, I was renting the apartment and allowing her to live there. I called my financial advisor, Tyler Williams. Tyler, I need to understand my options regarding some financial entanglements with my family. He walked me through my rights. As primary leaseholder, I was responsible, but I could remove myself with proper notice. Automatic payments could be stopped immediately. The joint account with my parents could be frozen. This seems sudden, Tyler noted. Are you sure? I've never been more certain of anything, I replied. I researched tenant laws, Vanessa's actual price range for an apartment. This wasn't about revenge, it was about justice and self-respect. Was I overreacting? I reopened Facebook. The caption mocked me. Mom's comment burned. No, this was not an overreaction. This was long overdue. This was me finally acknowledging what my family had shown me for years. I was valuable to them only as a resource. My plan took shape over a glass of wine and a birthday cupcake I bought myself. By midnight, I knew exactly what needed to be done. 1. Stop all automatic payments for Vanessa's expenses. 2. Email Roland Hayes, the landlord, stating I'd no longer be responsible after the 30-day notice. 3. Email my parents, informing them of these changes, not as a threat, but a statement of fact. I wouldn't be cruel, but I would be clear. I wouldn't engage in emotional arguments. I would simply disentangle myself and let the chips fall where they may. As I blew out the single candle on my cupcake, I made a wish, not for revenge, but for freedom. Tomorrow would be the first day of my new life. The morning after my birthday dawned with a usual clarity. I woke before my alarm, made coffee, and sat at my kitchen table. The storm of emotions had settled into steady resolve. I organized all my documents, lease, bank statements, emails, screenshots of the Facebook exchange. I created a desktop folder, Financial Independence. At 8:30 a.m., I called my friend Stephanie, a family law attorney. "You're well within your rights," she confirmed. "Just make sure everything is documented and unemotional. This isn't about punishing them. It's about establishing proper boundaries." Exactly. Then, with 3 clicks, I canceled the automatic payment to my parents' joint account. That providing 30 days notice and canceling all payments. I will pay directly for the notice period. Please contact me to discuss the transition. To my parents, I am informing you of changes that will affect Vanessa. I have stopped all automatic payments supporting her living expenses and notified her landlord that I am removing myself as primary tenant. I was never consulted about these financial arrangements. They were presented as investments for your retirement. I cannot continue to financially support Vanessa without my consent. This is not open for discussion or negotiation. It is simply information you need to plan accordingly. I read both emails 3 times, checking for emotional language. Finding none, I clicked send. I also scheduled an appointment to update my will and financial directives. My parents were no longer my beneficiaries or emergency contacts. I spent the rest of the morning securing my finances, changing passwords, removing my parents as authorized users on an old college credit card. At lunch, I went for a walk. My neighbor, Benjamin, waved. "Happy birthday, Natalie. Any big plans?" I was surprised he remembered. "Just a quiet day," I replied. "Sometimes those are the best." "True enough," he agreed, "though you look like you're carrying the weight of the world. Everything okay?" "It will be," I said. "I'm making some long overdue changes." The first 3 days passed in strange silence. No responses, no calls, no texts. I checked spam repeatedly. Nothing. The silence itself became a weight, a held breath before the plunge. I threw myself into work, grateful for the quarter-end rush, but I still caught myself checking my phone, bracing for the inevitable explosion. On the 4th day, it came. A text from Vanessa. "There's some kind of banking error. My rent payment got rejected. Can you check your account?" "Not an error, a correction," I typed. "I've discontinued financial support for your apartment. Check with mom and dad." WTF, Natalie? Is this because you didn't call on your birthday? I was going to. I didn't respond. This wasn't about a missed birthday call. It was about 28 years of imbalance. That evening, my mother called. I let it go to voicemail. "Natalie, what is this nonsense about Vanessa's apartment? Your father and I need you to call us back immediately. This isn't like you to be so irresponsible." Irresponsible? The word hung in the air. I, who had been responsible for myself and apparently part of Vanessa's life, was being called irresponsible for finally setting boundaries? I texted back. "I'm not available to discuss this tonight. The email I sent explains everything necessary." The next day, Olivia noticed my distraction. "Rough week?" she asked. "Family drama," I admitted. "It's been building for years." Over sandwiches, I gave her the abbreviated version. "That's seriously messed up. Good for you for finally standing up for yourself." Her support meant more than I expected. It was validation. That evening, to my surprise, my father called. "Natalie," his voice was tired. "Do you have a minute?" "I do," I said cautiously. "I got your email about the financial arrangements." A pause. "I owe you an explanation." "Do you?" I asked. He sighed. "It started small. Vanessa needed help with security deposits after college, and we were short. You just started your job, and we were so proud of you being able to contribute to the family. We meant to tell you, but you didn't." Another pause. "It just became easier to keep it going. Vanessa has never been good with money. You know that." So instead of teaching her, I said, you decided to secretly use my money to enable her? When you put it like that, he trailed off. Look, your mother doesn't know I'm calling. She thinks we can talk you out of this, but I understand why you're upset. It was the closest thing to an apology I'd ever heard from him regarding Vanessa. I appreciate that, Dad, I said, but I'm not changing my mind. I know, he said. I just wanted you to know that I get it, and I'm sorry. Days 7 through 10 brought escalating messages from Vanessa, angry accusations, tearful pleas. I responded minimally, stating only facts. Yes, I was the primary leaseholder. No, I will not continue payments. Yes, the 30-day notice is standard. No, this is not negotiable. Roland Hayes, the landlord, responded professionally to my email on day 8. He confirmed my obligation would end on June 15th, and Vanessa would need to qualify for the lease or vacate. I signed the documents immediately. On day 9, I met with Ela, my therapist. Conflicted, I admitted. Part of me feels guilty, like I'm punishing Vanessa for our parents' favoritism. Another part feels liberated, and a small part is still that 8-year-old girl, hoping this will finally make them see me. All of those feelings are valid, she said. You're not responsible for their reactions, only for your own boundaries. Day 11 dawned with a strange calm. The storm seemed to be pausing. That evening, my mother texted, "Family meeting tomorrow at 6 p.m. Your presence is required. This has gone enough." I didn't respond, but I knew I would go. This confrontation had been brewing for 28 years. It was time. Day 12. At 2:17 p.m., my phone rang. Vanessa. I almost declined, but something told me to answer. Hello? What the hell did you do? Her voice was shrill, tearful. My landlord just called and said I have to qualify for the lease or get out by next month. He said you removed yourself. Yes, I said, calmly. I sent an email explaining this last week. I thought you were just being dramatic. I didn't think you'd actually do it. Her voice cracked. How am I supposed to afford this place? You know what I make at the gallery. You've had 3 years to build credit and savings. That you haven't isn't my responsibility. This is so typical of you, always so perfect, so responsible, looking down on everyone else. Is that really what you think of me? I asked quietly. That I look down on you? God, Natalie, I can't deal with this right now. Mom and Dad are furious. They're saying you're having some kind of breakdown. I'll see everyone tonight, I said. We can discuss it then. You're really coming? Mom wasn't sure you would. I'll be there. I drove home, changed into a navy blue dress I wore for important client meetings. Professional, calm, collected, not aggressive, not defensive. At 5:45 p.m., I pulled into my parents' driveway. Everyone was already there. I took a deep breath, gathered my folder of documents, and walked to the front door. It swung open. My mother, a mixture of anger and concern, finally decided to explain herself, she asked by way of greeting. Hello, Mom, I said, stepping past her. The living room was arranged like an intervention. Dad in his recliner, Vanessa on the couch, tissues clutched in her hand. An empty armchair faced them all, clearly for me. Sit down, Natalie, Dad said. We need to talk. I sat, placing my folder on my lap. I'm listening. What were you thinking? Mom burst out. Canceling payments, emailing Vanessa's landlord, threatening her housing security? Is this some kind of revenge because we were busy on your birthday? This isn't about my birthday, I said, though the party you threw for Vanessa that day was certainly illuminating. It wasn't a party for me, Vanessa interjected. It was a celebration because I sold my first major piece at the gallery, which none of you acknowledged was my birthday, I pointed out. And Mom, your comment about someone being worth baking for made it pretty clear how you feel. My mother had the grace to look slightly embarrassed. I was just teasing. You've always been so independent. We didn't think you cared about birthdays. I've always been independent because I had to be. I've never had the luxury of depending on anyone else. That's not fair, Dad protested. I opened my bank statements. Really? Then explain these payments from my account to Vanessa's landlord, payments I was told were going into a family investment fund for your retirement. Dad paled. Mom looked genuinely confused. What is she talking about, George? She asked. Interesting. My mother hadn't known about the financial deception. It was temporary, Dad said weakly. Vanessa needed help with rent after college, and we were short. It was just supposed to be for a few months until she got established. That was 3 years ago, I said, and no one ever told me where my money was really going. Vanessa looked stunned. I thought Mom and Dad were helping with my rent. I had no idea it was coming from you. And that's the problem. None of you considered how your actions affected me. I've been the family ATM, the responsible one, who's expected to help but never need help herself. The one who doesn't need birthdays acknowledged or achievements celebrated because I'm strong and independent. That's not true, my mother said, but her voice lacked conviction. Isn't it? When was the last time any of you asked about my life, my goals? My struggles? When was the last time you celebrated my achievements with even a fraction of the enthusiasm you show for Vanessa's smallest accomplishments? Silence fell over the room. Dad stared at his hands. Mom looked away. Vanessa wiped fresh tears. I'm not doing this to hurt any of you, I continued, my voice softening slightly. I'm doing this because I finally realized that I deserve better. I deserve to be seen and valued in this family. And if that's not possible, then at least I can stop enabling the dynamic that's hurt me for years. So what now? Dad asked. You're just cutting us off, abandoning your sister when she needs you? I'm not abandoning anyone. I'm establishing boundaries. Vanessa is 25 years old. It's time she learned financial independence, just as I had to. And what about us? Mom asked. Are you cutting us off too? That depends on you, I said. Honestly, I'm open to rebuilding our relationship, but only if it's based on mutual respect and equal treatment. I can't continue in a family where I'm valued only for what I can provide, not for who I am. This is ridiculous, my mother said, standing up. You're being overly dramatic about everything. So we forgot your birthday. So what? Grow up, Natalie. Diane, my father said sharply, sit down. My mother looked surprised but complied. Natalie is right, he continued. We've treated her unfairly for years. I've seen it, and I've been complicit in it. Dad, Vanessa began, but he held up a hand. No, this needs to be said. We've expected everything from Natalie and nothing from you, Vanessa. We've celebrated your mediocrity while taking Natalie's excellence for granted. And I've been dishonest about financial matters, which is unforgivable. So you're taking her side? My mother asked incredulously. This isn't about sides, I interjected. This is about acknowledging reality and making changes. What kind of changes? Vanessa asked, her voice small. For starters, complete financial separation. I will not contribute to your living expenses anymore. Vanessa, you need to either qualify for your apartment on your own or find a more affordable place. But I can't afford it on my own. My job at the gallery barely covers groceries. Then you need a better job or a cheaper apartment. Just like I had to work through college, you'll need to work more or adjust your lifestyle. And what about us? Mom asked. What changes do you expect from us? Acknowledgement, I said. Acknowledgement of the favoritism, the unfair expectations, the taking me for granted, and a commitment to change, to see me as a daughter worthy of celebration and care, not just as a resource. And if we don't agree to these terms, my mother asked, her voice cold, then we'll have a very distant relationship, I said simply. I won't subject myself to more of the same treatment. I value myself too much now. My father nodded slowly. You're right, Natalie, and I, for one, am sorry, truly sorry for how we've treated you. The sincerity in his voice brought unexpected tears to my eyes. In all our family conflicts, I'd never heard such a straightforward apology. Thank you, Dad, I said quietly. Vanessa looked between us, then sighed heavily. I didn't know, she said. About the money, I mean. I thought Mom and Dad were helping me, but I guess I have taken you for granted too." My mother remained silent, arms crossed, expression closed. "So what happens now?" Dad asked. "Now," I said, gathering my documents and standing up, "we all have decisions to make about what kind of family we want to be, about what kind of relationships we want to have. I've made my position clear. The rest is up to you." I walked to the door, pausing before opening it. "I love all of you, but I love myself too, and that's something I should have learned a long time ago." As I drove home, I felt lighter than I had in years. The confrontation hadn't resolved everything. My mother's resistance made that clear. But truth had finally been spoken, and that was a beginning. The weeks that followed were strange, new territory. Our carefully maintained facade had cracked, and none of us quite knew how to navigate the exposed landscape. My mother's initial response was predictable: wounded silence, then attempts to rally extended family. "Your mother is worried about you," Aunt Patricia called. "She says you're having some kind of breakdown." I'm actually healthier than I've been in years, but I understand why she might see boundaries as a breakdown. To my surprise, my cousin Rachel called. "Not everyone is buying Aunt Diane's version of events. Some of us have seen how they treat you versus Vanessa for years." Her support was unexpected and deeply appreciated. My father, true to his remorse, made consistent efforts. He called regularly, asked thoughtful questions, and most significantly, began individual therapy. "I need to understand why I participated in the favoritism," he told me over coffee. "I love both my daughters. I never meant to hurt you." "I know, Dad. Intent and impact are different." "Thanks." Vanessa's reaction was the most complex. Her initial shock and anger gave way to a confused identity crisis. Her self-concept had been built around being the special one. Finding out much of that support came from me and was now gone sent her into a tailspin. She alternated between tearful apologies and resentful accusations. The landlord situation forced her hand. "What am I supposed to do? Live on the street?" "You have options," I said calmly. "Get a roommate, find a better-paying job, move to a less expensive apartment." A month after the confrontation, unable to qualify, she found a smaller place with a roommate and a second job. "It's actually kind of nice," she admitted during a cautious lunch. "I've never had to make a budget before." "Is this how it was for you in college?" she asked. "Pretty much," I said. "I had no idea," she said quietly. "I was just having fun at BU while you were—" God, I was so oblivious. It was the first time she showed real understanding. 4 months after the confrontation, my mother invited me to dinner, just us. "Your father tells me I need to listen," she said after we'd ordered, "so I'm listening." I took a deep breath. "Mom, all I've ever wanted is to be seen and valued equally, not better than Vanessa, just equal. We always loved you both equally," she said automatically. "Love isn't just a feeling, Mom. It's actions. It's celebrations and support and attention. And in those ways, the love in our family has never been equal." She started to object, then stopped. "Examples," she said. "Give me specific examples." So I did. Birthdays forgotten, achievements ignored, financial support withheld. I spoke calmly, without accusation. To my surprise, she listened. "I don't think I realized," she finally said. "It just seemed natural to give Vanessa more attention. She was louder, more demanding. You are so self-sufficient." "Being self-sufficient was my adaptation to being ignored," I said gently. "It wasn't my nature, it was my survival strategy." She looked genuinely startled by this. It wasn't a full apology, but it was the first crack in her denial. 5 months after the confrontation, we attempted our first full family dinner. It was awkward, but we were all there, all trying. Vanessa arrived late. "Sorry, came straight from work." Both works, actually. "Just finished a shift at Nordstrom." "How's the new apartment?" Dad asked. "Small, but affordable, and Brittany's a good roommate." "And the gallery?" I asked. "I might be getting promoted to assistant manager," she said, a hint of genuine pride in her voice. My mother served dinner. "I've been thinking about what you said, Natalie," she began, looking uncomfortable but determined. about how we celebrate achievements in this family. I want to acknowledge your promotion last year. I know it's late, but congratulations. You've always been exceptional at whatever you set your mind to. The acknowledgement, however belated, brought unexpected tears to my eyes. Thank you, Dad, I said quietly. It wasn't perfect, but slowly, steadily, the dynamic was changing. We were all growing, adapting. 6 months after the confrontation, my 29th birthday approached. Last year's birthday was a catalyst for change, but marked by pain. What would this year bring? 2 weeks before, my phone rang. It was my mother. Natalie, do you have dinner plans for your birthday weekend? Your father and I would like to take you out. Nothing elaborate, just a celebration. The hesitation in her voice touched me. This was new ground for her, too. I'd like that. Saturday would work well. Perfect. We've made reservations at Antonio's for 7. Should I invite Vanessa? I asked, testing the waters. Actually, she's already part of the plan, but this is your celebration. We're all coming to honor you. The words honor you from my mother were so unexpected I was momentarily speechless. Natalie, are you there? Yes, I managed. That sounds lovely. Thank you. The night of my birthday dinner arrived. I dressed carefully in a new emerald green dress. My doorbell rang at 6:30. To my surprise, it was Vanessa, alone. I thought you'd ride with me, she said. If that's okay. Of course, I said. Once we were driving, Vanessa turned to me. I've been doing a lot of thinking about everything that happened, about how I never really saw you, how I took and took without giving back. Vanessa, no. Let me finish. This is important. She took a deep breath. The past 6 months have been really hard. Working 2 jobs, living with a roommate, budgeting every penny. But they've also been clarifying. I understand now what you've been doing your entire adult life. What I never had to do because you and Mom and Dad sheltered me from it. She met my gaze. I'm not angry anymore. I'm grateful. Not for how it happened, but for what it forced me to become. I'm more independent now, more capable, and I like who I'm becoming. I'm proud of you, I said, and meant it. We arrived at Antonio's. My father stood as we approached, pulling out chairs. Happy birthday, Natalie, he said, kissing my cheek. You look beautiful, my mother added, with genuine warmth in her eyes. Dinner was surprisingly pleasant. My mother had clearly prepared conversation topics centered on my interests. My father spoke openly about his therapy journey. I never wanted to play favorites, he admitted, but I realized I was more comfortable with Vanessa's needs because they were emotional, not practical. Your self-sufficiency intimidated me somehow. That's insightful, Dad, I said, touched by his honesty. After dessert, my mother cleared her throat. We have something for you, she said, placing a small wrapped box beside my coffee cup. Inside was a delicate gold necklace with a small diamond pendant. It's beautiful, I said, genuinely surprised. It was your grandmother's, my mother explained. I've been saving it. I always intended for you to have it, but I never found the right occasion. She paused. Or rather, I never made the right occasion. I'm trying to do better with that. Thank you, I said, blinking back tears. This means a lot to me. There's something else, my father said, handing me an envelope. Inside was a card signed by all 3 of them and a check for the exact amount of student loan debt I still carried. We can't undo the past. We can't go back and support you through college the way we should have, but we can do this now. Dad, this is too much, I protested. It's exactly enough, he said firmly. It's what we gave Vanessa. It's what you deserve too. The equity of it, the acknowledgement of past imbalance, moved me deeply. I didn't know what to say. Say you'll accept it, my mother said. Let us do this one thing right. I nodded, unable to speak past the lump in my throat. Vanessa squeezed my hand. I have something for you too, but it's at home. Can we go back to your place after dinner? At my apartment, Vanessa handed me a clumsily wrapped package. Inside was a handmade scrapbook. As I turned the pages, I saw photos of us growing up, many I'd never seen. along with ticket stubs, program booklets, and other mementos from my achievements that I thought no one had documented. "Where did you get all this?" I asked, amazed. "I've been working on it for months," she admitted. "Some of it I had, some came from Mom's boxes in the attic, some I tracked down from old teachers and friends." I stopped at a page that held my spelling bee certificate from when I was 8, the very one that had disappeared from the refrigerator. "You kept this?" I asked, stunned. Vanessa looked embarrassed. "I took it. I was jealous that you were so smart. I hid it in my treasure box." She met my eyes. "I'm sorry, Natalie, for that and for so many other things." The apology, so specific and heartfelt, broke something open inside me. Tears came, not of pain, but of release. Vanessa hugged me, her own tears falling. "I love you, big sister," she whispered. "I'm sorry it took me so long to show it properly." In the months that followed, our family continued to heal and grow. My relationship with my mother improved steadily, though we still hit rough patches. She joined a support group for parents working to repair relationships with adult children, which gave her perspective. My father became my most steadfast ally. Vanessa thrived in her newfound independence. Her promotion at the gallery came through. As for me, the internal changes were as significant as the external ones. I no longer felt the need to prove my worth. I began dating again, meeting Marcus Reynolds, a kind and insightful architect who valued my strength without exploiting it. 6 months after my 29th birthday, Vanessa called with exciting news. She'd saved enough for a down payment on a small condo. "The bank pre-approved me for a mortgage," she exclaimed. "Can you believe it? Me, a homeowner?" "That's amazing," I said, genuinely proud. "When can I see it?" "That's why I'm calling. I'm going to look at a few places this weekend. Would you come with me? I value your opinion." The fact that she asked rather than assumed my help was a testament to how far we'd come. "Of course," I said. After touring several properties, she fell in love with a charming one-bedroom condo. "What do you think?" she asked. "It's lovely, but the monthly payments would be tight on your current income. You'd have very little margin for emergencies." She nodded. "You're right. Maybe I should keep saving." I hesitated, then made a decision. "What if I helped with the down payment? Not a lot, just enough to lower your monthly payments to a more comfortable level." Vanessa looked surprised, then suspicious. "Why would you do that, after everything?" "Because I want to," I said simply. "Because I can afford it, and it would make me happy to help you in this specific way. But only if you want it, and only as a gift, not an obligation." "I don't know," she said. "I've been so proud of doing this on my own." "You have done it on your own," I assured her. "You've saved, improved your credit, qualified for the mortgage. This would just be a sister helping a sister, the way family should." She studied me. "Is this really different from before, from how Mom and Dad used your money without asking?" It was a good question, one that showed how much she'd grown. "Yes," I said, "because it's my choice, offered freely and transparently, because you didn't expect or demand it, because it's a single gift with clear boundaries, not an ongoing subsidy, and because our relationship now is based on mutual respect, not one-sided sacrifice." She considered this, then nodded slowly. "If you're sure, then yes, thank you, and I promise I'll never take your generosity for granted again." 2 weeks later, I attended the closing with her, writing a check that helped my sister begin a new chapter. As we toasted with champagne in her new, empty living room, I realized how far we'd come from that Facebook post on my 28th birthday. The journey hadn't been easy. There had been pain, anger, grief, and loss, but there had also been growth, truth, healing, and ultimately, love. Real love. Approaching 30, I had something I never fully had before, a family that saw me, valued me, and loved me not for what I could give them, but for who I was. I couldn't have asked for a better gift. So what about you? Have you ever had to set difficult boundaries with family members? How did it change your relationships? Share your experiences in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe if this story resonated with you. Remember, sometimes the hardest conversations lead to the most meaningful growth. Thank you for being here, and I wish you the courage to claim your worth in every relationship.